Ah! I cannot get that open. I don't know what is going on, but I can't get that open, so... Hello! I just saw How to Train Your Dragon 3, the third movie in the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy, and presumably the final edition of the How to Train Your Dragon series.
This is Berk, son. It was the home of your grandparents and their grandparents before them. But out there, beyond the edge of the world, lies the home of the dragons. And I believe it's your destiny to one day find this hidden world.
Now, this is a series that I have been mildly invested in since the first one. I liked the first movie. I thought it was unique enough and original enough to be entertaining and interesting. And the second one came along, and I really didn't love it. I thought it was okay, and it introduced some things that I liked, but some things I really didn't. And now we're on to the third movie. And unfortunately, even though I had very low expectations, I didn't like this movie. I thought most of this movie just flat out didn't work for me. But before we get into that, let's talk about some positives. I mean, this isn't a bad movie. This is a movie that you can probably take your kids to and be mildly entertained by, because it is very visually stunning. The animation is spectacular in this film. The sand particles are very detailed and rich. The fire textures are incredible. The skies, the grass, the trees, the wind blowing in people's hair. The animation is just stunning and spectacular throughout the entire runtime. It's a flawlessly presented movie. And there are even some one-take shots, which, I mean, it's animated, so, you know, one-take shots aren't that impressive, but this movie starts with a one-take that was kind of fun, I guess. It was an action scene with sweeping camera movement. So, I mean, okay, I like that. And I like the voice cast here. Baruchel as Hiccup has always been pretty good. I like his innocent and kind of feeble-sounding voice. I think that always works pretty well. Gerald Butler as well, even though he doesn't have a great role in this one, I still really like him. Every scene he's in, he kind of commands presence with. Every voice member of the cast just does a really good job overall. And the music is great as well. The music has been spectacular from the first edition to this one. John Powell, I believe, has even been Oscar nominated for his work with these films. I'm not sure if he did this third one. I feel like he did, but I could be wrong. It was still good. I like the theme, the How to Train Your Dragon theme. There are some very angelic choir pieces that I really liked. There's some thunderous Scottish-inspired pieces that I thought were great. The action pieces were kind of formulated and not that interesting, but other than that, I think the music was pretty good. Almost everything from a technical perspective really worked for me. It was a really well-made, well-crafted movie. It's just the characters, the writing, and just everything that was relating to the script that fell on its face for me.
You do know my leg isn't a chew toy, don't you? Is this what you want? Yeah, go get it. How am I supposed to get down? Hey, bud, wait up.
Well, I started out all alone.
He's not the only one.
And the movie is basically about Hiccup and Astrid, who are dating after the second movie, even after the first one, I believe, and they are kind of expected to get married, and Toothless meets his girlfriend that he's gonna get married to, if you can be married as dragons. Meanwhile, there's a legendary, vicious trapper man that is trying to hunt down Hiccup and his tribe to kill the last Night Fury, Toothless. And that's the main plot. Hiccup and company are trying to evade this trapper. All the while, they have some kind of relationship drama going on. And on paper, that all sounds great. But it was really with the execution that I have problems. From pretty much the first scene of the movie, the dialogue was so bad. I couldn't believe how awkward and stilted almost every line of dialogue was in this movie.
Another Night Fury.
But I ain't got wings.
It's more like a bright
a light fury.
And that translates to every aspect of the film. The dialogue really does affect the drama and the humor as well, because not a single moment of drama worked for me, and not a single moment of comedy worked for me, because the awkward dialogue was just constantly in the way of these things. There's literally lines where people say, "Hello, my old friend," and "Now that's a king." Not only is the dialogue written pretty poorly, but there are so many things that this film sets up that it doesn't know how to pay off. There are so many times in this movie where the movie seemed to have commitment issues. There's a ton of little like running gags that don't go anywhere. There's a whole bunch of characters that feel like they have set up to go somewhere and then they just don't. Like Jonah Hill's character has a crush on Hiccup's mom, and the only place that goes is Hiccup's mom saying, "You're a pretty cool guy," and then him saying, "Yeah, I'm pretty cool." And that's it. That's all that thing goes to. It makes no sense. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be funny, because it's really not. And the problems with things being set up and not paid off extend to plot devices and plot conveniences. And this is what really ruined the film for me, honestly. Like I said earlier, it seems to have commitment issues. There are so many things that it seems to want to do, and then it just doesn't do them. And the ending for me kind of exemplifies that more than anything else in the movie, because it ends with Hiccup and Toothless kind of saying goodbye to each other, and then their worlds kind of splitting apart once again. And so the dragons go off and the humans go off, and the ending is supposed to kind of be this somber note where the humans kind of have learned to work without the dragons. They've kind of built a good society for themselves, and the dragons are going to go off and have their own nice thing. And I was like, okay, that's kind of satisfying. But then nearly the next scene after they establish this, the dragons are just back. You know, Hiccup sails a little boat out to the edge of the dragon world, and Toothless is sitting there, and they go for a nice ride in the clouds with happy, upbeat music and narration over the top saying, the rest of humanity might not be ready for dragons, and they'll be there whenever we need them. And I'm like, so what was the point of having this huge emotional moment where the two separated, if they're just gonna get back together right at the end? Aren't they on a remote island all by themselves? Why can't the dragons live there? Why can't they go visit? Why can't the humans go into the hidden world and live with them there, or go visit there? I don't understand. Why did they do it like that?
There is an armada with enough cages for all of our dragons.
May not return.
This is a new kind of enemy. We need to find the hidden world.
I will destroy everything you love.
And the movie is literally called How to Train Your Dragon 3, The Hidden World, and they established that the hidden world was talked about by Hiccup's dad, Gerald Butler, way back when Hiccup was like a tiny baby. And he was like, my dad was so crazed about this hidden world. He wanted to find it more than anything. And I was like, then why wasn't that the first movie? Why wasn't his dad trying to find that in the first movie? He was trying to find a nest in the first movie, and they found that.
It's a dragon like
Their
never...
island. So you've been to the nest.
Did I say nest?
How did you find it?
But no, I didn't. Toothless did. Only a dragon can find the island.
So if he knew about the hidden world in the first movie, why didn't he go look for the hidden world in the first movie? And so there's like stuff like that where it's like, we don't know how to get our characters from point A to point B, so we're just gonna fabricate something and artificially insert it into the movie via flashback, or just throw it in there and maybe people will notice, maybe not, who cares? And then there's little things throughout the movie that are like, what? You didn't even think about that. Like the main trapper guy, who I actually do like, the voice acting for him I think worked the best, but he has these like dragons that he keeps sedated with his special like venom from their teeth, and he puts a collar around them and then sticks the venom on them, and they serve him. So the venom is like mind controlling venom, but he got it from their own mouths. It's their own poison. So why does their own poison work as mind control on them? And then he uses that same poison to shoot other dragons and knock them out. So which is it? is it knockout juice or is it mind control juice? Because he uses the same juice to knock out one dragon, and then he uses it later to mind control the same one. And it never explains it. It just says, this is how it is, and that's it. And that it's like, ugh. And that is really the biggest reason why this didn't work for me. There's just so many little things throughout the whole runtime that made me go, what? And just threw me out of the experience. I just couldn't get invested in these characters. I couldn't get invested in the story because the characters were so poorly written. They went nowhere. Like, the literal arc of this movie is that the characters learn to work as a team without dragons. It's literally just going back to what the first movie was. So what's the point of this movie? The point of the first one was that the Vikings are killing dragons, and then Hiccup has radical thoughts of these dragons actually being kind of nice and you can tame them. And then in the second one, they learn to live with those dragons. And in the third one, they learn to live without them again. What is the point of that? So for these reasons and many more, I'm probably going to give this one a 4, maybe a 5 out of 10 if I'm feeling generous. Again, it does look great. The animation is spectacular. The music is great. The voice acting is great. It's really just the script. It's so well made that it's hard for me to say that it's a bad movie, but the script is such a disaster. I've seen a lot of people satisfied with how it ends, so maybe you'll be satisfied, but for me, I just came out of it saying, what was the point? So maybe I'm alone. I don't know. I didn't like it, so I'm gonna try and open this Gatorade again. Ah! Why? Okay, I gotta go grab some to help me get this unscrewed.